Is Bluesky part of the Fediverse or web3 or blockchain? The answer is no, but also a little bit of yes. So Bluesky is a brand new social network. It is similar to Twitter in a lot of ways, where it has limitations on post sizes and followers and that sort of stuff, and it looks a lot like Twitter did in the early days. There are lots of things that don't work. What people are using right now in Bluesky is not really the final product, and neither is the protocol it's built on. It's built on the protocol, which is a brand new protocol for this sort of distributed social network. But it's a little different than what other people like Mastodon and these other companies are doing. So let's understand it together and see why it's different than those other things. So first of all, is it part of the Fediverse? The answer is no, because the Fediverse is generally referred to as networks and applications that are built using ActivityPub. ActivityPub is a special protocol that is how data is sent and received between the federated servers and instances to be able to communicate more broadly on the network. Because Bluesky uses the protocol, it is a different protocol than ActivityPub, and it is not interoperable with ActivityPub. And so the protocol is going to be different, and they don't speak the same language. There are lots of other apps built on top of ActivityPub. There are YouTube clones and Instagram clones. All of these things already exist. ActivityPub has been around for years. Protocol is brand new. It's still being developed. It's still working on different things on how it will work for a broader system. The only app that is built on protocol right now is Bluesky. I'm working on another video about protocol and ActivityPub, how they're different and the same in some ways. So stay tuned for that one. It's going to be a little more in-depth than this video. Is Bluesky Web3? And again, the answer is no. Web3 generally refers to applications that are built on top of blockchains, and blockchains that are typically distributed, and they have what's called DApps, or distributed applications that are used, and the centralized storage is some sort of chain. There are features of Bluesky and the protocol that use things that are similar and used in Web3 applications. Bluesky and protocol use DIDs, or decentralized identifiers. These are not unique to Bluesky. These are general purpose and part of emerging W3C standard, but they are heavily used by Web3 technologies because they needed some identifier that was unique for people. The way Bluesky and the protocol use them is basically just an ID that a user can have that's globally unique inside of this network of applications that will be built on top of the protocol, but there's nothing specifically Web3 about using a DID. There are lots of different ways to look up DID, some identifier, to some person or an alias. The way Bluesky does it is with domains. They use standard domains as part of DNS. My handle in Bluesky is justingarrison.com. That's my website. That's also the DNS name that I've had for years and years. That points to my decentralized identifier on Bluesky, which is my actual identity inside the system. And does Bluesky use blockchain under the hood for storing information? Does it have any tokens? Is there any sort of monetization there? Again, the answer is no. It does not have blockchain under the hood, depending on how you define blockchain. So the one thing that the protocol does have is all of your data from your personal data server is stored in what's called Merkle trees. A Merkle tree is just a way to get an identity out of a folder of stuff. A bunch of things have IDs and they get hashed. If you're used to Git, if you've ever used Git for development, Git uses Merkle trees. Your Git repo is a Merkle tree. It hashes the files and then figures out what state, what hash you're currently on. Protocol does the same thing with your data. So when you have posts, if you put images, whatever it is that you're pushing into this protocol, it creates a hash of those files and then figures out what the state of your information is. Just like a Git repo, just like other things that identify a folder structure of things with one ID. It's a SHA, it's some hash, it's something that identifies this is the state of the world right now. If that changes, we need to rehash the context. That in itself builds a blockchain. That is essentially what a blockchain is. It is a chain of linked hashes that point to one to the other. Those things, one hash goes to the other, just like a Git log. But Git is not managed like a blockchain traditionally is, where parts of that are sent out throughout the entire network, and then all of the network decides, is this the correct state or not? A blockchain that is decentralized that way and has some consensus around what the current state of something is very different than a Git repo or something on your computer that you are the one that tells it, this is the state because I'm hashing these files. A personal data server inside of the app protocol works more similarly to Git than it does to a blockchain. The personal data server defines the state, and as objects inside of that Merkle tree are requested, it can point to different files in the system to make sure that the proper information is served back to the client. This is how a post works in Bluesky. When I create a post, it goes into my personal data server, it gets hashed, and then anyone that requests that from their feed gets that linked back to them. I hope this was helpful in removing some confusion around what Bluesky is and how it's different than things like Mastodon or dApps or Web3. It's a really cool space, and I'm excited for the protocol and the application, and I really want to see how it evolves over time, but this is still early. They only have one app that is not even fully fleshed out. It's not launched to the public. They're still building the protocol and the application that use it at the same time. So if you're looking to dive into it, now is a great time to look at the docs. I have a link in the show notes. And take care, come back, subscribe, whatever. I have more videos planned about app protocol and Fediverse and other things. So see you soon.